Everybody. Welcome to SAVI's live webinar on our commitment to volunteerism and how you can get involved. So first and foremost, SAVI is a California-based nonprofit organization. We are committed to working with transitioning service members to educate them on their basic federal entitlements and also to work with the organizations that support veterans. We have some really excellent guests with us today. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody say a quick hello and what organization they're with. So Aloysius?
Hi, thank you, Adrian. Aloysius from Lexington Tech. I'm the president and I'm also a board member of SAVI.
Perfect, thank you. Then we have Eddie.
Thank you, Adrian. Hi, my name is Eddie Hansen. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I work for a defense contractor, and I also am a board member of SAVI.
And then finally, we have a special guest, Mike.
Hey, I'm Mike Waldron. I'm the executive director of 23rd Veteran. I served in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2004. Did some different things with my life until 2013. Figured out my PTSD, quit my job, started the organization.
Awesome. And we're going to find out some more about what Mike is doing as well with his organization. And I just wanted to kick it off by going over some really great benefits to getting involved in volunteering. There's an article from Help Guide that talks about the 4 ways to feel healthier and happier. So first and foremost, a lot of people don't realize how much connectivity there is within the nonprofit sector and how you giving back can really get you involved with your community. So one of the great benefits of volunteering is that you get to connect with other people. You're connected by a common cause, a common mission, and it's a way to really take you outside of your comfort zone and meet people that you may not normally meet. It's also excellent for your mind. There's a lot of great serotonin that's released when you're giving back and doing a selfless service. It really does give you a feel good. It gives you motivation and purpose to do something outside of just yourself. Advancing your career, again, great with connecting with people. It's also a really great networking opportunity. A lot of these events have people from different aspects of business and marketplaces that come together when they normally wouldn't maybe have an opportunity to connect, especially in that business world. A lot of the jobs that are currently being assigned to people and the opportunities that are being presented are from networking and really taking yourself outside of your normal kind of community and really expanding your reach with the people that you're connecting with. And then lastly, volunteering brings fulfillment and it brings fun. There's a lot of creative ways to give back, and these organizations are doing a whole lot of different types of activities, whether it's working with children, maybe doing hospital visits, working directly with veterans in a mentoring capacity, outdoor activities. There's so many fun and exciting ways to get involved with organizations. So I definitely encourage you guys to look into it and explore the different ways that volunteering your time can really make an impact. So how can you get involved? There's 3 primary ways that you can get involved. First and foremost, by giving your time. So again, volunteering at events, volunteering for specific projects. And the next way to get involved is by contributing your talent. It's so important when you have specific skills, whether it's in photography, maybe social media management, technology. There's so many ways that you can take your skills and contribute that to an organization that's in need. A lot of these organizations have administrative functions, maybe it's answering the phones. Those are all talent-based opportunities for you to give back. And then the last way, maybe if you're short on time or you just don't have the opportunity to be present, you can always donate to an organization. A lot of these nonprofits are doing some really amazing work. So just do a little bit of digging and figure out what causes, again, are specific to your values, what motivates you, and find out ways that you can give back and contribute a donation. So where can you find some projects that are specific with our organization? We have our website, savivets.org. If you go to /volunteer-projects, there's some really amazing projects that are on there. Again, a lot of them are specific with skills, but some of them are very general. So I encourage you to take a look at that. There's a very quick volunteer agreement. And once you're signed up, we can definitely let you know about anything that's upcoming once some of those projects have been filled. Outside of SAVI, there's some really incredible platforms that you can go ahead and look at some other volunteer opportunities with. One of them is by going directly to the organization. Most organizations have a way that you can just click a button where it says maybe volunteer now or volunteer, get involved. They're all labeled a little bit differently, but I recommend that you go to the organization's website first, or even reach out to them directly and ask them if there are any volunteer opportunities. Are very general. So I encourage another great website is Volunteer Match, Give an Hour, Catch a Fire, Idealist, and Create the Good. So these are all very general volunteer websites that you can go to, and you can definitely take a look at what organizations are involved and how you can go ahead and give your time. So I have some great questions that I want to go ahead and ask some of our panelists, and I'm going to start out with Aloysius. So before we get into our questions, Aloysius, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got involved with SAVI?
I am the president of Lexington Tech Corporation. We are a business and technology consultancy. I met Adrian a couple of years. Adrian became a client of mine, and she raised the prospect of creating a nonprofit organization for SAVI, specifically to assist veterans transitioning to civilian life. She offered me an opportunity to be involved with this project and to help her create the nonprofit and basically, support the organization. It was a very big opportunity for me to say yes to her very willingly, and I was very glad that I did. Thanks, Adrian.
Perfect, thank you. So our questions, first and foremost, why is volunteering important to you?
It was very important for me to assist Adrian. I know that I have volunteered throughout the years on various different projects, but to be involved with an organization like SAVI, I knew that it had a specific focus that I could contribute largely to a lot of in areas across the board, from technology to business to consulting to anything which Adrian needed. I could be a valuable resource for her, and that was one of the biggest things why I got involved with SAVI.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And when was the first time that you started volunteering, whether it was SAVI or otherwise, and why did you get involved?
I think it was at a very young age. Probably my mid-teens, I was volunteering already. It was just being able to help out and give back to other people. And instead of, doing things on my own, I would actually be involved in a community.
And those are really great reasons to get involved, is that community and connecting with people. Definitely one of the values of being a volunteer. So what are some of the benefits that you've directly gotten from being a volunteer?
I know that I can contribute not just my time, but also my skill sets and my networking. And that's something which I willingly brought to the table for SAVI.
And you definitely have a lot of great connections. And it's very amazing to see how technology is now revolutionizing the way that nonprofits are able to do business and even the donation process. So I'm sure that there will be plenty of opportunities to talk about some of that projects that we're going to be launching soon. But technology has definitely been a great tool and resource for our organization. So your talent and skill set has definitely been a huge contributor. Now, what's one piece of advice that you would give somebody who's wanting to volunteer but doesn't know where to start?
Get involved to know the organization or the cause that you want to work with. Like SAVI, go through the website and reach out. We have available opportunities for someone to join the organization in any capacity. So I would say willingly go out there and search for it. We welcome any kind of talent contributions, time contributions, or networking contributions, or anything the organization grow and be more involved in your community as well directly.
I definitely agree, and that's great advice. Thank you so much, Aloysius. And our next panelist, we have Eddie. Eddie, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and why you got involved with SAVI?
Sorry, delay there. I had to unmute myself. Sure, thank you. So I spent 22 years in the Marine Corps. So I was in my early 20s when I joined, and I was in my mid 40s when I left, just a couple of years ago. And that was the only thing I did in my adult life. And transitioning to me was challenging, right? There were a lot of people that helped me along the way, and I realized looking back that I needed that help quite a bit. So, I benefited from the help of others, and I wanted to figure out how I could use, what I've learned and do the same for those behind me. So, I, had been helping and mentoring individuals, kind of onesies and twosies as I had time available, and I was excited to find Savvy where I could scale that and help an organization to help many head veterans transition.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, why is volunteering important to you?
Well, I kind of mentioned that the transition wasn't so easy for me, and I realized that there were a few people that really went out of their way to help me along the way, and the success I have now is I owe to those individuals, right? So it's important to me to be able to give back to others to do this same that was provided to me, right? There are many people out there who just need a little bit of assistance, and they're going to do great things. And if I can help just a little bit, that it's very rewarding to provide that help to others, especially after I have experienced it myself. So.
Your contribution has definitely been tremendous. So we're so glad that we have your skills and experience on board. So when did you first start volunteering, whether it was Savvy or outside of that, and why?
Sure. Well, now when I look back, I didn't realize I wouldn't have called it volunteering, but as grew up as a military leader, one thing you do is you learn to take care of others around you, right? And some need a lot of help and some don't, and you sort of learn that, right? And now looking back, I realize, those who helped me transition were continuing to do that even after they were left the military. They were helping their peers, succeed. So now in hindsight, I realize I've been doing that, for a long time. Combine that with I've been involved in about 2 years before I left active duty. I was involved in another nonprofit in support of autistic children. I have an autistic child, and so I combined my military leadership and a little bit of knowledge on the nonprofit world together. So the first time I volunteered in a nonprofit sense was 3 or 4 years ago. Again, I was fortunate to find Savvy, and very happy to be able to help a nonprofit that means a lot to me, where I can help other transitioning veterans.
Perfect. Thank you. And now I know that you've mentioned quite a few of them, but just bring it back together. And what are some of the benefits that you've gotten from volunteering?
I certainly already did mention that. It means a lot to me, all the assistance I got along the way, and that just shows me how important helping others, that you can relate to is, and it's been extremely rewarding to see somebody exceed after mentoring them and assisting them. Something I'm very proud of. Very recently, and Adrian, I haven't told you the story yet, but someone I served with who is transitioning this year, I just very recently helped them get a job at my company. I had tried to assist a few others getting a job at my company, and I've mentored them as I got jobs other places, but this is the first person I've actually managed a place that I've had some influence over, and it's been phenomenal. It's someone I served with and actually deployed to combat with, and this individual helped me on a deployment, and it was pretty cool to be able to pay back to him as he transitioned with leaving the military, and help him find meaningful employment in the civilian world. So the payback is it's an exponential rewarding feeling to be able to help others the way that I was helped.
And I agree with you. I actually had a conversation earlier with somebody about that very thing is when you can be the conduit to make a connection, that link for that opportunity that somebody just needs to take them to the level or something that they were looking for. It really does make you feel good that you're that kind of value to somebody. So I definitely agree with you. And that's amazing. I'm so glad that you were able to make that connection for that individual and, get an opportunity within your company. And so, what would be one piece of advice that you have for somebody that's looking to start out but doesn't know exactly what should be the first point?
Sure, that's a great question. A couple things. First is there's no wrong way to start, right? So just jump in and start. And if it's just volunteering to help one individual, great. If you find a cause or an organization that you feel passionate about, contact them. Go there. Go find something that excites you and motivates you. Um, it's the same advice that I received and I gave people as career advice that find things that you love to do and you'll probably do well at them, right? So find a cause that inspires you and just dive in. So there's no wrong way to do it. If you need a little assistance along the way, talk to any people on this webcast. I'm happy to. You can find me through the SAVI website or on LinkedIn or other places, and I'm happy to discuss and talk about the different places I've volunteered and give you ideas if that would be helpful.
Thank you so much for sharing that information, and thank you for being a part of the SAVI organization. Again, your contribution and experience has really been a huge help to not only us, but to all the veterans that we're serving. So thank you again. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Mike. Mike, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit more about your background and what you're doing with 23rd Veteran?
Okay, I'll do that. I started in my first introduction. Maybe I'll cover a second of that again. So I served in the Marine Corps a while back, and I fell into some pretty severe symptoms of PTSD about 5 years after combat. I mean, it lasted for about 5 years for me until I figured out a way out of it. And once I did, I started talking with some of my buddies that served, and of course, we were all experiencing the same thing. So I realized, wow, this is much more widespread than I thought. And this was a while back before the subject around mental health in the military got so popular. So I decided to quit the career that I was in so I could start this organization so I could bring what worked for me to others around the country, including my friends. So the organization is 23rd Veteran. I'm the executive director of it, and I love volunteers.
Great. And so, why is volunteering important to you?
Sure. So important to me as being an executive director is there's no way that our organization could have the impact that it has on our veterans and our clients without volunteers. They're the lifeblood of what we do. We have 3 employees in the organization. We have volunteer board members, 5 of them, and then we have about 350 volunteers. So without those volunteers, we would just be a tiny organization of 3 people. So volunteering, the way that we run it in 23rd Veteran, there's 2 very different options you can choose. You can choose to volunteer for a one-time event, which a lot of people do, or you can choose to be an ongoing volunteer, which is, a board member is a volunteer position, but also somebody that's doing like daily bookkeeping or whatever your strengths are.
Perfect. Yeah, I definitely agree. And that's amazing. 350 volunteers. And I know we got to meet a lot of them, and they're all amazing. And I can see the impact, obviously, that it has in really bringing these programs and your organization forward. So, when did you first start volunteering, whether it was with 23rd or outside of that, and why?
My first volunteer position, I was kind of thrown into it, but I enjoyed it. So I joined an organization called Toastmasters to learn how to be a better public speaker because I figured that would be a good skill to have if I was going to be starting an organization. And in Toastmasters, they needed somebody to take over the sergeant at arms position. So I learned that uh, a Toastmasters sergeant at arms, like many other organizations, is somebody who make sure like the conference room is set up and ready to go, carry all the materials there, and make sure everything's packed away properly. That's something that I could easily do. That fits well within my skill set, and that was my first volunteer position. That wasn't until about 2012, 2013. So I didn't grow up in a family that volunteered, and it just wasn't something that occurred to me until I was thrown into it.
Gotcha. Now, what are some of the benefits that you've gotten from volunteering?
That's my wheelhouse. I'm excited to answer that one. So there's this little chemical in our brain called serotonin, and that's been called our leadership chemical. So when we do something that is serving somebody else, or if we feel respected by somebody, we have this chemical release called serotonin, and that chemical gives us a lot of confidence, and it's part of our happiness structure. So if you picture when you receive an award, and the boss is patting you on the back, people are clapping for you, they're congratulating for the next 20 minutes, you feel very confident leaving there. And that's what that is. That's that serotonin. And that's very important to us. And that's why it's part of the happiness structure. Without our serotonin, if we're not serving others, or if we don't feel respected in our group or our community, it's easy to feel depressed and to feel anxious and to not sleep well. So there's actually science behind volunteering. When we're running our events, I've had volunteers come out that hadn't volunteered for quite a while, if ever, and afterwards they're just so fired up and they're loving it and they're loving life and they're just looking forward to the next volunteer event because they feel so good about it. Not only do they feel good about themselves and what they've done because people are respecting them, but also they're just around a whole bunch of positive people that are all there for the same reason, and that's to help somebody else. Once you get yourself into a position like that, it's hard to not continue to go back into it again.
Definitely agree with
And
you,
that's
and
to
that's
help
some really
somebody
great
else.
science, so thank you
Once
so
you
much
get
for
yourself
sharing that.
into a position
What would
like
be
that,
one piece of advice you have for
hard to
somebody
not
who's wanting to
continue to go
volunteer
back
but
into it.
doesn't know where to start?
My one piece of advice is to do something that you're good at, something that you enjoy. Maybe you have a skill set that isn't being fulfilled at work, but that can be fulfilled in a volunteer position. So for instance, we have a person in the medical field that reached out to want to be a volunteer, and I asked her, what are you good at? What do you enjoy to do? Well, she's huge into calligraphy. So she loves writing and handwriting, and I was like, well, hey, you can write our thank you now. If that's something that would fulfill you. And it absolutely, and she's been doing it for 1.5 years now, and she loves it. Maybe we're coming up on 2 years. So anytime we have a person that we want to thank in the organization, we send her, she has a stack of cards for 23rd Veteran, and she gets the message of who we're thanking, and she comes up with exactly what to write and does it in wonderful handwriting that she really enjoys to do, and it just adds more fulfillment to her life. And then our sponsor, donor, volunteer, who's ever getting that thank you, is adding fulfillment to their life because she's doing something that she enjoys doing. And then, of course, that's passed on to our clients because that person is going to continue to help the organization. So find something that you're good at. Stick in your strengths. It's my one piece of advice.
Love it. Thank you. And lastly, I want to make sure that people know, where can they find you and sign up to volunteer with your organization?
Oh, sure. So we're 23rd Veteran. That's 23RD Veteran. You can find us at 23rdveteran.org, and you can find us on Facebook at 23rd Veteran. And we are now on Instagram as well at 23rd Veteran. There's a one-time event we do. It's our biggest fundraising event called the Nearly Naked Ruck March. So you can find that on Facebook or Instagram as well. And all of those things can funnel you to the website where you can sign up to volunteer.
Perfect. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think we got some really great information from everybody here. I will tell you that I personally am a volunteer within our organization. Although I founded SAVI, this is a commitment of my time and of everybody else that serves on the board. We are all volunteers. We have some really amazing volunteers that support our organization across our committees, and they bring their skills and their experience to the table. And without them, we absolutely cannot do the amazing work that we do. So I thank everybody that has been a part of our organization, our partners like Mike, 23rd Veteran. We're part of the Nearly Naked, so we're looking forward to participating again next year. And for anybody, again, that wants to know where they can find some more information about how you can sign up with SAVI Vets, that would be savivets.org/volunteer /projects. You can always reach us via email as well at info@savivets.org. And if you have any questions, give us a call, 844-400-7284. before. We really appreciate you guys signing on and checking us out on Facebook, registering for our live webinar. Make sure to get connected to our newsletter, and we will certainly inform you of any upcoming webinars and informational resources that we have available to transitioning veterans. So thank you for joining us again. I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you to all of our panelists for their time. We really appreciate it. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.